Hello, everybody. Let's start out in a child's pose today. And before you go there, you want to gather your props, whatever you're going to be using. We'll do some things on our belly, in which case you might want a pillow or some blankets to rest your elbows on or to kind of prop up your chest in a Sphinx-like pose. And then we're going to spend some time on our backs, elevating our hips. So you'll want something again to prop up the hips. Could be that you fold up, imagine this were a hardback book. You could cover it over with a blanket to kind of soften it out. Or you can stack blankets to add height or pillows to add height. So just get creative with what you've got at home. And then we'll come into a child's pose and we'll take a few breaths in child's pose. So we'll spend some time on this idea of flexion and extension of the spine. And you're probably going to notice most of that sensation in the low back, which is very normal. And so I always want to say that with a caveat that if you get into a position where the sensation is just too much for you to hold, back out or add more props. And when you back out, maybe you just lie down on your back, stretch out into a Savasana-like shape for a few breaths, and then maybe revisit the shape. So just know that if you experience things that are too much, the point of this is not to hold yourself in discomfort or to add tension in the body, but to decrease the tension. That's what the props are for, okay? So child's pose option, you can take the knees wide or knees together. You can stretch the arms forward, or you could fold the hands underneath the forehead. We'll take a few deep breaths here. And so right now, the low back or the back body is in extension. We're creating space in between the vertebrae, creating space in the back body. So just imagine you're sending your breath there. And notice how it feels. Let's take 3 more breaths here. Good, and then we're going to come forward to tabletop. You could move through some cat and cow just to kind of move through flexion and extension of the spine, and you'll get a sense of how the spine's feeling today, what you might need as we move into our longer holds. Remember that your head is an extension of the spine, so maybe when you tuck your chin in and press the floor away and round, you let your head be heavy. Move your head side to side a little bit. If you're moving in and out of cat-cow, twice more. Good. Then we're going to come forward into a supported Sphinx shape. So this is where if you have pillows, they might come in handy. You don't have to have a pillow, but it's kind of a nice to have, I think. So I'm going to place this horizontally so that when I come forward, I'm going to set my elbows down on my mat. And so I'm resting my chest and a little bit of my upper rib cage on this bolster. Pillows work just as well. If you have a stack of hardback books that again you could pad with layering a blanket on top of that, you could build a little shelf to rest your forehead on. And then so the alignment here in Sphinx is elbows in line with the shoulders. So I just test that out by pressing the pinky edge of my hands into the mat, pointing the thumbs up towards the ceiling, and then bend my elbows until my thumbs touch my shoulders. I know that I'm in the correct alignment. And if that's too much on the back, You stretch your arms straight forward, kind of like a Superman shape. And you can always adjust the prop that's underneath the forehead if you're using one. If you're not using a prop, you can let your head rest in towards your chest, or your chin rest in towards your chest. So take your time to settle in and find the appropriate height of props for you. I'll take a little bit of time here to pause and breathe. If you do have that prop underneath the forehead, I find it a nice myofascial release to roll the head side to side. Kind of massages the skin above the eyebrows. Do your best to relax your shoulders, your neck, your jaw. So for the past few weeks, we've been also leaving time for seated meditation and breath work at the end of our practice, which we will do so today as well. Just a little heads up so you know what to expect. Take about 3 more breath cycles here. And then really slow, you'll start to lift your head. If it was resting, you can move that prop out of the way. If it was resting on something, take your time pressing your hands down, rising back up to either that tabletop cat and cow here might be really nice, or moving back to that child's pose might be really nice. All right, so we're going to come on to our backs. We'll spend the majority of our practice there. And if you're on that hard surface, a hard floor surface, being on the back of the skull for a period of time can feel like a lot. So I always welcome you to take a folded blanket. I don't want if you're using a prop there underneath the back of the head, I don't want your head to be elevated that much. Like a pillow width is probably too much, especially when we're inverting through the hips. Not like a complete inversion, but we're elevating the hips a little bit. So you want an incline of the spine, hips, and head. So head's going to need to stay relatively in line with the spine. So that's why I say it's just a really gentle slope, not a lot of lift to the back of the head. And then you're choosing your prop. Maybe it's that hardback book. Maybe it's some cushions based on what kind of feedback you want in your low back. So we're going to target that area of the sacrum, which is just below the low back. So as you press down through your feet, lift your hips up, you're going to slide that prop of choice underneath the sacrum. And if it's up too high, you're going to feel like your low back's really arching. We're actually taking the arch out of the low back right now. We're kind of straightening it out because we're lifting the pelvis up. So if you're feeling like your low back is arching, your prop is probably too high on your back. You'll want to scoot it down a little bit. So it's more like at the top of the glutes. And then if you haven't already done so, bending the knees, planting the feet, walk those knees wide if you like. You can let the knees draw in towards one another, or you can kind of just sway the knees side to side. It might feel nice on the hips, and you can explore that tissue at the low back here for a few moments. Okay, we'll come back through center with the feet. I'm going to give you an option here. You're going to either stay in this starting position or extend the right leg. Let that right heel rest long, keeping the left knee bent and the foot planted. Maybe you stretch out through your arms, broaden across the chest, or you could rest your hands at your rib cage if you want that hand to body connection. Again, check out the relationship of the head and the neck to the shoulders. If you've got too much of a lift in the head, that's going to start to eventually strain the neck. So roll the shoulders under, remove some height underneath the back of the head if you've got it, until your head feels like it's relatively in line with the rest of the spine, minus the pelvis because we're elevating the pelvis. Settle into your breath here. We're on purpose, we're extending one leg at a time. And then I'm going to give you the option towards the end of this to extend both legs. So try not to be in a hurry with this shape, even though you know there are options to progress. See if you can stay with me. Okay, we're going to switch side with the legs. So first, just bend that right knee, plant that right foot. Take a moment. You need to adjust the pelvis. Like you might need to pick the pelvis up and tuck the tailbone under and reset so that your low back feels like it's got a little bit more length to it. It's almost like the tailbone's tucking under towards the backs of the knees. And then if you'd like, you can extend that left leg long. And this is an option. It's definitely not a requirement. And there's a lot of merit and benefit to just keeping the knees bent and planting the feet, letting the back of the pelvis just rest heavy on that elevated surface. If you are extending that left leg out long, let the heel rest, let the toes relax. Deepen your breath. You will start to bend that left knee, plant that left foot, readjust the pelvis if you need. And then you can choose here to either keep the knees bent, feet planted, or extend both legs long. And again, if you extend both legs long, you're probably going to start to feel that sensation first in the low back. It's normal. But the idea in a restorative practice is that you're taking tension away. So if you can deal with the discomfort in a way that is conducive to rest, right? So you're not adding tension in the jaw, you're relaxing. You're not adding tension in the shoulders, you're relaxing. And you're breathing into the sensation that is present without clenching in the body in other places. So let go of the idea of forcing some level of depth and allow your body and its sensations to tell you how far to go and when to back out and where to relax. Remember that the goal of our practice is to prepare the body for seated meditation. That's why these asana were invented, to prepare the body for a comfortable upright seat. Keyword comfort. And that upright seat can look so many different ways in our bodies. Doesn't need to be lotus pose. It doesn't need to even be seated on the ground. You could sit in a chair or a stool, or add cushions or blankets underneath the sits bones. If you've still got your legs stretched out, start to bend the knees. Take this super slow. Start to bend the knees maybe one at a time. Plant the feet. Pause there, rest. Maybe a little bit of a rock of the pelvis forward and backward. And then just like we started, you can either ditch the prop that's underneath the pelvis or keep it if it's feeling helpful. But either way, let's take our feet wide and bend the knees and then start to sway the knees side to side. And this might look like a big movement or it might look like a small movement, but let your body and the sensations guide you in that. We'll find a little bit of a rotation for the spine to lengthen out the lumbar, the low back. And then we'll head into Shavasana. So if you still have that prop underneath the pelvis, remove it. Let your pelvis come back down to the floor. And walk both of those feet and the pelvis off to your right, just the pelvis and the feet. And then tip the knees off to your left. And if there's a lot of space in between the thighs or the knees, take that prop in between the knees. You broaden your shoulders across the width of the mat. Open your chest towards the ceiling. You could rest your left hand on top of the right thigh. Not pulling on the leg, but just a gentle rest as the right arm stretches off to the right. Deep breath in, deep breath out. Send your awareness to your low back, your lumbar spine, the back of the pelvis. As you breathe in and out. We're slowly going to change sides, so take your time unwinding this. And before you swivel the legs off to the right, I want you to press down through the feet, lift your pelvis up, and send it back towards the center. Give yourself a few moments of either stillness or rocking the pelvis forward and backward. And then press into those feet, lift the hips up, send them a few inches off to the left, same with the feet. So feet and pelvis move off to your left, and then the knees rotate to your right. See if you can keep the shoulders relaxing on the mat, the chest opening towards the ceiling. Maybe you rest that right hand on the outer left thigh as you stretch your left arm off to your left. Deep breath in, deep breath out. Take one more breath and then slowly unwind. We'll set up for Savasana. So we'll just lengthen out on our backs for a minute before we rise up to the culmination of our practice, our seated pranayama, which is breath work. Continue with Nadi Shodana, alternate nostril breathing. And we'll end with a very brief few moments of silent reflection, in other words, meditation. Take a deep breath in through your nose. Open your mouth, exhale. Feel your back body release. Feel your front body soften. Shavasana. Slowly start to awaken the body, fingertips, toes. You might stretch your arms over the head, breathe in. And then begin to make your way to your upright seat. Again, the seat is supported and it's comfortable. That's the goal of the seat, that it's comfortable for you. So how do you want to arrange yourself so that that's true, so that the spine can grow tall with ease? Doesn't have to look like this. You don't have to sit on the floor. You can grab your chair and sit on your chair. Nadi Shodana. Take your dominant hand, curl the index finger and middle finger into the palm of the hand. Your thumb and your ring finger will rest gently against the crescents of the nose. Let your elbow relax, your shoulder soften. Slightly draw the chin into the chest. 3 rounds of Nadi Shodana. Close the left nostril, inhale through the right. Close the right, exhale through the left. Keep the right closed, inhale left. Close left, exhale right. Two more rounds, inhale right. Close right, exhale left. Keep right closed, inhale left. Close left, exhale right. One more round, inhale right. Close right, exhale left. Inhale left. Close left, exhale right. Release your hand. Invitation to join me in Jnana Mudra, which is index finger and thumbs touching, palms face down. Not palms. Index finger and thumbs touching, palms face down. I think I said that. Relax your shoulders, soft elbows, grow tall through the crown, root through the sits bones. Breathe in and out through the nose. Acknowledge how you feel and acknowledge what you feel. Even acknowledge where you feel what you feel. To close out our practice, you might join your hands together at your heart and bow the chin into the chest, offering reverence and gratitude for the practice. May we use the fruits to serve our highest good. May we share it with those around us that we love and who could use healing. May we remember to send love and healing to all sentient beings around the world. May they be happy. May they be free. Namaste, yogis. All right, everyone. Thank you for joining me. I hope you feel good. Take care of yourselves and please come back again soon.